first problem, and I'm going to set a timer for you. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to solve this equation. You can show your work here. You can try using the drawing tool, which you would work better if you have a mouse. If you don't have a mouse, maybe you want to use the text tool to try to write out how you would solve this problem. So you're solving, has an equal sign, you're solving an equation. We've been working with inequalities a lot. Those will come up too, but remember, that's an equation. So you're going to solve this equation. Let me find a timer. So everyone should be over in their Pear Deck tab. And Gian Leve just reminded me of something I need to mention to you guys, which I will tell you when our timer is up. You know, it's a little hard to show your work with the drawing tool, especially if you have a mouse pad. If you're just using a piece of paper, you'd rather do that to work it out. That's okay. All right. I understand. Okay. So that was 2 minutes. And before we look at the solution of this, there's something I did want to mention to you guys. And so if you'll come back to our Google Meet tab, please. Go ahead and pause your work. Come back to our Google Meet tab. And so in our Google Classroom, I put an announcement, and I don't know if you've seen it or not. I posted it on October 6th. It says, listen guys, new rule here. So all of your Delta Math and your HMH assignments, those can be done repeatedly until a passing score is earned. Now, that's not the new thing. That's always been true. Okay, but I don't know if you guys really realize that, but I'm just going to reiterate it to you that you should keep doing the Delta Math assignments and any HMH assignments until you get a score that's passing, all right? Now, if you attempt one of those and I go in to pull grades and I notice you have anything less than a 60%, I'm not going to pull your grade yet. I'm just going to leave it as missing. That's the new thing. Okay, so it's just going to show as missing. You'll be like, what? I did that assignment and I earned 40% on it. It's like, you need to go do it again and at least get 60%. And the reason I'm going to leave it as missing is that if you're going through your grades and you're just looking to see if you have any missing assignments, if you don't see something in red, you're not going to pay attention to it and think, oh, I could go redo this. That's not even a good grade. So if it's red, that means you need to redo it and make sure you get it done. If it shows as red, then you are able to keep doing it and get a better grade. When we do get to the end of this triad, okay, then I will go in and put in whatever score you actually got. But until then, I'll leave it as missing until you can get 60% or better. And you can even keep going, okay? Aim for 80%, aim for 90%. If you do something on Delta Math or HMH, it doesn't automatically go into Aries. I have to go in and do that. So typically on Fridays is when I'll go in and check everyone's grades and update Aries. But if you want me to update it sooner, that's fine. Just send me an email, okay? Just send me a quick little email. Put your period number in the subject line so I know which class you're in. And just tell me that you did something, you're missing assignment number 10, or you're missing assignment number 12, right? And if you need help on any of this stuff, you know, ask for help in the meets through email, through GoGuardian. All right, so that is the new rule that I wanted to mention. We're going to come back to this presentation. And so I'm going to show some of your responses and what we did so far. We have an x equals 12, a deleted response. We have an x equals 18. This one looks like, oh, they multiplied through by 3 to get rid of the fraction. I like that. I haven't seen that in a while. That is a good thing to do. Here they subtracted 5 from both sides, and then they kind of got stuck. 33. So this is definitely a problem we're going to go over. X equals 18. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to present to you a whiteboard. I'm going to work this out on. So window, no, present a screen, share. Okay, so we have 2/3 x plus 5 equals 17. Now, if I want to solve an equation, one thing I could do is box and wall to help me remember the x, the thing that I put a box around is the thing I need by itself. And I'm going to have to use inverse operations to isolate that variable that I do want by itself. Okay, so let's get rid of the plus 5 first. And this is just one possible way. It's not the only way, right? 5 minus 5 is 0. So now I can rewrite this problem as 2/3 x equals 12. And some of you got stuck right here. So you will definitely have a problem like this on your quiz. If a fraction is being multiplied by your variable, you want to get rid of the fraction. One way to eliminate it is to multiply by its reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. All right. And whatever you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other side. All right. But by multiplying by the reciprocal, the common factors cancel. And now x is by itself. On the right-hand side, 12 times 3 divided by 2. You can think of it this way, putting your whole number over 1. 12 times 3 divided by 2, or you can cancel out the common factor of 2 first, which is what I would do to work with smaller numbers. And x is 18. All right, so a few of you did get x is 18, which is great. All right. X is 18 here. Yeah, no. So the way I showed you is the way you want to do that. I am recording this. I'll put this up as a video, so if you want to re-watch this review, you can do that. Okay. So here's your next one. You're going to go to your Pear Deck tab. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and you're going to have 2 minutes to solve this equation and solve it for x. So you want to leave the meat, go to your Pear Deck tab. So Selena, you need to join Pear Deck unless you have it on another device. I mean, that could be the case. You might have a device with Pear Deck. Joseph, I don't know if you have Pear Deck on another device. Okay, so Sean, go ahead, go to your Pear Deck tab and try to solve that one. Maddie, go to your Pear Deck tab and try to solve that one. And if you're not really sure what to do, you just do as much as you do remember how to do.
Miss, I know how to do it, but like, it's hard with the keyboard.
I understand. So if you're having a hard time with that, you do it on paper and just write your answer. Okay, so 2 minutes is up. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we came up with. So yeah, you could type out the equation. Here they're adding 2. Maybe they mean add 2x. Okay, so here they were able to simplify this equation into 3x equals 15 minus 2x, which is great. You can subtract 5 from both sides, combine those constants. You could also subtract 20 from both sides. That is also something you can do. There's lots of ways to solve equations, and there's not necessarily one correct way. As long as you follow the rules, you're good. So 3x minus 15 equals negative 2x. That would work, and then keep going. We got x equals 3 as an answer. Here we got x equals negative 15. X negative 10 equals 10. X equals 5. So lots of answers. So let's take a look at this one. We'll do it together. So the problem that I'm starting with is 3x plus 5 equals 20 minus 2x. Okay. Because there's an x on the left and an x on the right, and there's a constant on the left and a constant on the right, I have to get those like terms together. I have to combine those like terms, right? So what I'm going to choose to do is add 2x to both sides, because then I'm not dealing with negatives. That becomes 0. 3x plus 2x is the same as 5x. Plus 5 equals 20. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to combine the 5 and the 20, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides now. That becomes 0. I get 5x is equal to 15. And then there's just one thing left to do. Here, 5 and x are being multiplied. So I need to divide by 5, and then that'll give me the solution of x equals 3. So I did see a couple x equals 3s in our solution. All right, but that is the correct answer that you want to have. Let's look at number 4. 4, you don't have to do anything. I'm just going to read through it with you. Okay, so properties of equality. These are part of the rules of when we solve an equation or an inequality, what we do to both sides. Specifically here, this is just for an equation. Okay, so the addition property of equality, you can always add the same thing to both sides. And if you see here in this problem, we added 2x to both sides when we started. And so that's the addition property of equality. You can use the subtraction property of equality, which I subtracted 5 from both sides. So I was doing that. Multiplication property of equality, you can multiply both sides by the same thing. And division property of equality, which we also did. We divided both sides by 5. All right, so I use these to solve equations. With the division property of equality, you just have to make sure you're not dividing by 0. That's something you're not allowed to do in math. Okay, so this is a slide for you. It's a click and drag slide. You have 2 4s and 2 6s down at the bottom. And you're going to drag those numbers. You have a red 4, an orange 4, a yellow 6, and a green 6. You're going to drag those numbers into the boxes where they go to make sense out of it. I'm going to give you 1 minute to do this. So you're going to go to your Pear Deck tab now, and you're dragging things. Where can you put those 4s and 6s so that it makes sense? Okay, so if I show you responses, it's a little messy because it shows everyone's stuff all at the same time. But let's see, we're starting with 1/2 z plus 4 equals 10. And then we're doing something to both sides. We're using the subtraction property of equality. So what are we subtracting from both sides? Well, we're either going to subtract 4 from both sides or 6 from both sides. And, you know, if we're trying to solve this equation, the only thing that makes sense is to subtract 4 from both sides so that I'm getting closer to isolating my variable. So those first 2 boxes are your 4s. And then combining like terms, 10 minus 4, well, that equals 6. So 6 is your next box. And then we're going to multiply both sides by 2. And I still have a 6 on the right-hand side. So you should have 4s in the top row, and then the other 2 boxes, the second, third row, are 6. So you'll probably have some questions where you have to identify what is happening when you're solving an equation. What do you call it? Is it the subtraction property of equality? Are you combining like terms? Are you using the multiplication property of equality? You're going to have some questions like that on Tuesday. Okay, so here is an equation, 21 equals CD plus E, and it's a literal equation. Okay, we learned about literal equations, equations that have 2 or more variables, and you even have a literal equation delta math assignment. Okay, we're going to solve this literal equation for D. For D. In delta math, I did give you guys 2 levels of literal equations. The second level turned out to be very, very, very challenging, so I took it off. I left it there for a while. You may have tried it, and I hope you did get a chance to try it, but I removed it because I'm only going to ask that in Delta Math you make it through the first level of literal equations. Otherwise, they just got really complicated. Okay, this is the most complicated one you're probably going to see. All right, so something like this, where you might have to do 2 steps to isolate a variable. And we're isolating this equation for the variable d. So let's give you guys a minute and a half. Go to your Pear Deck tab and try to rewrite that. Oh, actually, it's multiple choice. You only need a minute. Choose which one you think is correct. Okay, you have 4 choices. Think about using inverse operation and what would it look like if you solved it for d? What would that look like if you solved it for d? You can write it down on a piece of paper and kind of try it and see what would happen, okay, to help you figure out which one it is. About half of you have responded so far. So pick one. Which one do you think it is? Okay, time is up. Come back to our Google Meet, please. And let's take a look at what you guys chose. We are all over the place. 3 of you chose A, 2 of you chose B, 2 of you chose C, and 3 of you chose D. So this is clearly one that we're going to take a look at. I'm going to open up my whiteboard. All right, so 21 equals CD plus E. Now, since I'm solving for D, this might be a good place to do box and wall. This is the thing I have to get by itself. And it's being multiplied by C, and I also have E being added to it. So I'm going to get rid of the E first. And to make E go away, I will subtract E. Subtraction, property of equality. Subtract E from both sides. E minus E is 0. Over here I have 21 minus E equals C times D. Well, that eliminates A and B right there. It is not A, it is not B, because A and B both have 21 plus E. And you guys should have 21 minus E. All right. So again, I could still do box and wall. Help me remember what it is I'm trying to do. Isolate my variable D. Division property of equality. Let's divide by C. And do the same thing over here. Divide by C. Those cancel. So the solution is 21 minus E divided by C equals D. You'll be asked to do something just like this on your quiz. Okay, so the correct answer so if you look at C and D, they look really similar, don't they? But D has parentheses. So D is the correct answer, because what C is really saying, I'll show you what it means on here. Okay, C, if I have 21 minus E slash C equals D, this is really 21 minus E divided by C equals D. That is not correct. Only with the parentheses does D make sense. Right, so D is in parentheses 21 minus E divided by C equals B. All right, so this is the entire quantity over C, which then can be broken into 21 over, oh, well, you don't have to do that. Okay, so parentheses are important. That's why D is the correct answer. Okay, we're going to move on to expressions. All right, so interpret the meaning of the expression. Frank buys P pounds of oranges for $2.29 per pound and the same number of pounds of apples for $1.69 per pound. What does the expression 2 and 2900ths P plus 1 and 6900ths P represent? You're going to type what thing it represents. What does that represent? So let's take a look at some of your responses. A pound of oranges and an unknown amount of apples. No. Price per pound? No, not necessarily. The amount of pounds for oranges and how much it costs and the amount of pounds for apples and the cost. Yes, so this is right. All right. What you're figuring out right now is the cost, the amount. Okay, how much money did you spend? We know the price per pound of oranges and apples. The amount that we're buying of pounds is unknown. That's why there's a variable. We don't know how many pounds of oranges and apples we're buying, but if we buy 1 pound, well, it's $2.29 plus $1.69. It tells us the total amount of money we spend. It's the cost. That is cost. All right, slide 8. So our class goes to 12:30. It's 12:24, and we're on 8 of 13. I will continue to go through these all the way to the end. You are not required to stay, but it is a recording, and then I'll post it. So if you want to go back and watch the rest of it later, you can do that since we only have 5 minutes left, okay? Translate each word into an algebraic expression. Remember, algebraic expressions don't have equal signs. We were doing warm-ups this week with algebraic expressions. They don't have equal signs. Ava's grade on the math test was just S points fewer than 100. Write an expression for her grade. How would I write that? S points fewer than 100. What would that look like? About 35 seconds. It's a quick little expression. Go to your Pear Deck tab and type something that you think represents that situation. Okay, so let's take a look at what you guys came up with. You come back to the Google Meet tab. We have 100 minus S. That sounds right. S is less than 100. 100 minus s. 100 minus g. Switch the variable. S divided by 100%. 100 minus x equals 100 minus s. 100 minus s. You should have 100 minus s. And remember, with subtraction, the order counts. If you had s minus 100, that is not correct. 100 minus s. All right. Guys, remember this? We did this problem. I'm not asking you to solve it right now. I'm just asking you to write an equation. An ostrich that's 108 inches tall is 20 inches taller than 4 times the height of a kiwi. What is the height of a kiwi in inches? We don't know the height of a kiwi, so we need a variable for the height of a kiwi. Before we used k. You can use k, but I'm not restricting you here. Use whatever variable you want. 108 inches tall is, remember, is a very important keyword. That's your equal sign. 108 is 20 inches taller than, more than, what operation is that? Taller than, more than, 4 times, times is what operation? The height of a kiwi, which is our unknown.
Do we need to put the ostrich in the equation?
So the ostrich is in the equation in that we're comparing their heights. And so the ostrich, that is 108 inches tall. So one side of your equation is the height of the ostrich. 108 represents the ostrich, where k represents the height of the kiwi. Okay, like 30 more seconds. I'm going to share some answers here. See what you guys come up with. Okay, so let's show some responses. I have 108 plus 20 times 4 equals k. We have all the right values, but not in the correct order. 108 plus 20 equals 4 times x. Closer, but no. 108 minus 20 divided by 4 equals k. Well, this is the solution for k. But, I mean, this isn't incorrect, but this is not intuitive to come straight from the problem. To me, it's not. So, I mean, this is, I will say, correct. This is the one that makes sense to me coming from the problem. Okay? And maybe, you know, your mind just thinks differently. So that's fine if you had that other way. It was a correct statement. But if I'm saying 108 is, that's 108 equals, and then 20 taller than, so 20 plus the height of a kiwi. So 4 times that unknown. So what is the height of the kiwi? Yes, that question was there. So maybe that's the step you went to, is solving it to put it in terms of that. But all I want you to do is just write an equation. Okay, so if you had that other answer of somebody had it. You're not incorrect. Okay, this is not incorrect. This is correct. This is totally solved.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, 11:13. It is officially 12:30. If you can't stay, you can leave, but I will do these last couple of problems with you, and then I'll post the video on our Google Classroom. So you're going to create an equation from a verbal description. This is multiple choice. We've done this problem before in a different set of notes, in a different lesson. Corey and his friend Walter go to a movie. Each of their tickets cost the same amount, and they share frozen yogurt that costs $5.50. The total amount they spend is $19.90. How can you write an equation that describes the situation? So you have 4 multiple choice options. We have 2c minus 550 equals 1990, 2c plus 550 equals 1990, c plus 550 equals 1990, or c minus 550 equals 1990. Well, the frozen yogurt is $5.50, and the total amount they spend is $19.90. The thing that we don't know is how much tickets cost. All right. So if I'm trying to figure out how much money they spent totally, I would have $19.90 on the right by itself. So those are all true for that. But then if I'm trying to find total amount spent, only B and C are showing addition, okay, between the terms. A and D have subtraction. It's not A, it's not D. C represents the cost of a ticket. How many tickets did they have to buy? Are they allowed to share a ticket and a frozen yogurt, or you have to buy your own ticket when you go to the movies? You have to buy your own ticket. So B is the correct answer here, B. Drag the purple star to the corrected graph solution of the situation. An iguana needs to live in a warm environment. The temperature in a pet iguana's cage should be between 70 degrees Fahrenheit and 95 degrees Fahrenheit inclusive. The word inclusive means you need to include 70 and you need to include 95. So which graph of those 3 graphs matches the situation? Yeah, it's the middle one. Okay, the middle graph is showing 70, and it's a filled-in circle because we're including 70, up to 95, which is a filled-in circle, a closed circle, and it's shaded in between. All right, one more slide, and then I'll end this. Solving this equation, I'm just going to work it out for you since class is technically over. All right, so I am going to just open up my whiteboard here, and I'm going to write that I have 1/2 x is greater than or equal to 9. I'm solving an inequality. I can do box and wall just like when I solve an equation, and I can use all those equality rules for equations I can use on inequalities, except there's one thing that I have to watch out for. That means I have to reverse my sign. And that's when I multiply or divide by a negative number. I have to reverse my inequality sign. So if I want to isolate x, and it tells me multiply by -1/2. To get rid of a fraction being multiplied by a number, one option is to multiply by its reciprocal. Just -2/1. And I would do the same thing over here. All right. The 1's cancel, the 2's cancel, a negative and negative make a positive. So I'm left with x. I'm not writing the symbol just yet. Over here, 9 times -2/1. Well, 9 times -2 is -18. Over 1 is just still -18. But because I multiply both sides by a negative, I must reverse my sign. Okay, I have to do that. So instead of greater than or equal to, it's going to become less than or equal to. And then this is the solution. X is less than or equal to -18. All right. So this does complete the review. I'm sorry I went 6 minutes over, but I did want to get a chance to show you all the slides and complete the video. So I am going to stop the recording, and If you have any questions, you're still on here. Please